we're seeing a lot of businesses popping up all over the place, as well as large enterprises who are going through these big product changes right now. The impact driven by AI, even driven by market needs and change in economics around the globe. They are constantly trying to figure out how to adapt into this new environment that is like rapidly growing around them, and a lot of them are suffering. And the opportunity is there; it's ripe.
Yeah.
But then the question is, how could they be pivoting faster to adapt with what's going on, even with people like us supporting them? So I guess, how do you see, what do you see as the pains that they're suffering for the most, and how do they overcome those?
Generally speaking, I think the biggest pain is that if you are an established business, doesn't matter if it's small, medium, big, everyone in your environment, or most people in your environment, has a specific thinking, a specific mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you work with something day in and day out, you don't have the time to look at this from, like the 10,000 feet outside view.
Yeah.
You also might be very industry specific in terms of your thinking. But someone from the outside can bring in ideas to look at things that have worked for other industries or have worked in different environments. That's one thing. The other thing is, I think there are two types of businesses. One that are very afraid of AI, and the other one is that really, really want to use AI for everything. I strongly believe there's probably something in between, where identify your biggest pain points and see if that's something where AI can help you solving them. But because the biggest pain points in most cases also means a lot of risk, do it in a, call it R&D fashion, as in, just an easy example, let's say your customer service team is overwhelmed with repetitive questions.
Yep.
And yes, it's an easy example there.
Yeah.
Solutions
but it's common. It's quite a common example, right?
Right?
Yeah. Especially if you're not keeping up with what's going on, there is always constant complaints coming in from your customers. Fix this. I want this. I need that.
And that's it, right? Like, how does the customer service team right now get their own knowledge? If you can use AI and train an LLM, as in a large language model, with a data set that's specific to your company, you can basically help this customer service team to get knowledge from every system in your business, from whatever software engineers document, what customers say to salespeople. There's, I think it's called Amazon Q. It's kind of like an internal chatbot that resembles to this, and I've just gone through this yesterday, where I think AI at the end of the day is a tool to take away repetitive tasks or help you look at data in a way you would usually not be able to, as in connecting A, B, and C together. And that's something that's incredibly important for businesses. But you also need to be mindful that if you pivot and you don't do it right, what happens, right? Like, what's the impact of it? And that's why I'm also not a big fan of, like, let's just fire everyone and AI will do the job.
Yes. And that's something that we're seeing more and more. There are people, businesses, organizations, particularly large corporates, who are getting rid of product teams, UX teams, designs teams, and attempting to place them with AI, with agentic, technologies. Is this something, like, obviously it's something you're seeing, is like, what's your view on it? Like, why shouldn't they be doing this? How is human in the loop such an important role, as well as you as a product person or UX person, even upskilling yourself in AI?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think AI will go away.
Yeah.
Also, everything that I'm saying right now
might not be relevant.
Might be not relevant in like 6 months or 12 months, because things change so rapidly.
It is.
But if we take today, kind of, or the next 6 months, I think the change is that you might not need as many people in your organization, and specifically, unfortunately, more in the junior level. But you still need experts to use AI more as an assistant, so to speak, right? Like, I always see AI tools as your junior that comes right out of uni.
Yeah.
They are very promising with what they can do. They have an amazing skill set. They will have very brilliant moments in terms of what they produce. But because they don't have that life experience, unfortunately, sometimes you need to keep an eye on things and basically need to question everything that gets delivered. And if you look at this, from like with AI, I think you de-risk a lot, because AI can produce quite a lot of slop if you don't keep an eye on it. And businesses need to keep this in mind if and when they might want to reduce their workforce. There's also something that if you use AI tools every day, and just Auction Buddy, I'm building it. I use, for example, V0 for my front-end development. If you use V0 for a while, for different MVPs, for different clickable prototypes, for different industries, you kind of start to see a pattern of, it's always a square box. It's always this. And that's where like a human element from a design UX perspective could change that with the help of AI and train it in a different way. Right? Yeah. And so, long story short, I think people entering the market, they will have it more difficult because there will be the need for less. Look at my product. I don't have a designer, no software developer, but I'm building everything for a usable prototype that I can use to see if there's some traction, right?
Yep.
That's easily like 3, 4, 5 people that usually I would have needed to hire and pay for. But also people in a more senior environment, and I personally think even up to executives, you need to understand how AI works. And if you understand this, you'll be able to strategically position your business in a way that you're going to be successful and you're going to be ahead of the curve. If you don't, you might not use it in the right way, or you don't use it at all, and that's where you fall behind.
So you've got like things coming out from the the founders of Canva, founders of Atlassian, saying now we're not letting go of these people because of the impacts of AI. We're letting them go because of the changing times, the increased demand and needs. We've been able to automate a lot of flows that aren't to do with AI, just specifically with the technologies generally that we're implementing. But on the flip side, you have founders of businesses like Shopify who are coming out making reports going, we're not going to hire people unless you can prove to me that AI can't do that job. So how, when you have, particularly people who are coming in fresh to the market, how are they supposed to enter a market where they have such a tough time from an economics point of view, and at the same time others saying AI can do your job? Like, how do they make themselves relevant, particularly in product?
The statement, I think, the CEO of Shopify, that was 3 or 6 months ago.
It was, yes.
This is, like in AI terms, this is like a decade in anomaly.
It is,
right?
That's so true.
So it would be interesting to see how he sees this right now. I also think, reading between the lines, it's probably more as in everyone in the organization, you better learn how AI works so you like ahead of the curve and we have the best talent possible. Yes, there are certain tasks that AI can do and you can replace a human. And this is the second part of the question, in terms of how do younger people probably prepare themselves for the market. I think just understand things change every single second day. And I've seen this in blockchain and crypto. You wake up and something changed overnight, regulatory changes, whatever, and you need to pivot. Yeah. That is crazy sometimes, and that can be daunting. But at the same time, it also means if you're able to pivot, you think differently, because every problem in life and in business, you need to pivot in order to stay successful. So you learn something out of it.
Very much.
And the second part of it is, I think, experiment. If, fingers crossed, maybe Auction Buddy gets successful and I need to, and will be able to hire some people, I would hire people that use AI. And when I say use AI, show me what you've built in your private time. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to work, but show me that you have interest. Because AI at this point is still your junior assistant. Still needs to understand how it works. There are people saying, oh, you don't need to understand how prompting works anymore because there are tools that can prompt for you. That is correct. But I want people still to understand how to prompt, because that structure makes a world of difference in the results. And if you know this, you can then, basically upskill yourself. So if everyone build as much as you can.
It's the idea of, as technologists ourselves, particularly product people, CX, UX, all that strategic technology and digital, our role is to stay ahead of what is going on so we can understand how the product needs to evolve and innovate. And if we're not staying ahead of the curve of what's happening in AI, we're making ourselves irrelevant, essentially.
Yeah. Half of the work I'm doing, I wouldn't be able to do
exactly
if I wouldn't use AI. And also one thing is, I think the lines start to blur more and more, as in humor and design, but that doesn't mean that you're not a product person because AI helps you to kind of like be a bit more of a product person.
Yeah.
I'm a product, but doesn't mean I'm not a software engineer to a certain degree, because AI helps me to do that work, right? So it's blurring the line left.
It's interesting that there's like one of the things I've seen you talk about is that cross section between the need for structured delivery or structured work, but also the intersection of creativity involved in that. How do you see that working, particularly in the dawn of AI, where there's a lot of question around the creativity element? I, for one of the biggest areas of creativity that I see the most when it comes to running these type of processes is the different roles that people can play in the development. So whether you're a finance person, you're a product person, or you're a CEO, or you're someone who's just started, that difference and diversity brings so much creativity to the delivery of any kind of a process and project. And now with AI on top, that's completely changing, but also kind of leveling the field with the mentality and that creative element. How are you seeing those two intersections?
I think creativity, like in human creativity, is something that AI cannot really do right now. The creativity that AI does is based on what you want it to do. And when I say you, I mean like what it got trained on, as in the large language model got trained on, right?
Yeah.
Creativity for me is also being able to see things from different angles and connecting the dots, which brings me back to a designer might see things more from a design UX point of view. This would be beautiful and users would love it. The salesperson would probably think like, but this doesn't make us money. And the product person would be like, but this takes 5 months to build and this one only 1 month. So you bring in these different views, and that together is creativity. I think AI,
perfect. I love that.
helps. Like, I would love companies sometimes to build call it like your rapid strike squad, as in one designer, one product, one dev, take the vision or the mission of the company and let them run free with AI and build something and see what it delivers, right? And the other thing is, just to add to this, AI is only as creative as what we feed it with, as in data it got trained on and how we think.
And how you prompt, right?
And how you prompt, of course, right? Will it be relevant that things are creative and beautiful and perfect in 5 years' time? Maybe not, because nobody cares anymore. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But right now it does. And that's where having different people in your circle of friends, different demographics, different mindset, different everything, as well as in your professional life, makes a difference, which brings us back to networking, think outside of the box.